When I was a kid, I got snatched, and my folks ended up adopting a girl from an orphanage. Years later, I got back with my parents, and their adopted daughter, Sophie, took some pills and ended it all. She left behind a massive pile of photo books, capturing her life from when she was little. When my parents went through the albums, they started bawling their eyes out. At her wake, they wept bitterly and blamed me, saying that if I hadn't come back, Sophie wouldn't have died. They wished it was me who had passed away, and just like they hoped, my real brother Jake ran me over with his car. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of the reunion. I had dozed off on a bus. My adoptive mom, Anna, gently shook my arm and whispered, "Mia, we're at the stop." "Wake up." I opened my eyes, and the familiar scene felt blank for a second. I'd just had a nightmare. In it, Jake had hit me with his car, sending me flying meters away, my arm broken. Jake had stepped out of the ride, coldly watching as I lay in a pool of blood. His eyes burned with hate. "Mia, you should have died. Why did you come back? Give me Sophie back." The curses from my real parents were still fresh in my mind. If you hadn't come back, Sophie wouldn't have died. They despised me deeply, yet they were the ones who wanted me back. Sophie was their adopted daughter. When I was kidnapped as a kid, my parents were devastated. Brother Jake suggested, "Mom, Dad, since you can't get my sister back, why not adopt a girl from an orphanage?" Following his lead, they brought home a girl around my age from an orphanage. They named her Sophie, hoping she'd bring endless love to the family. Sophie was treated like a princess in the Harris household. Meanwhile, I was bounced around by traffickers, begging on the streets. I ended up in a small town, almost starving under a bridge. Anna found me and took me in. Her husband had died in a job accident a few years back. She had a son 3 years younger than me. After adopting me, she worked nonstop in town, juggling 3 jobs to raise me and her son. Even though we were broke, I felt warmth and love. Later, my real parents, Ethan and Laura, tracked me down and set up a reunion. I had been reborn on my way to the reunion ceremony. Remembering the scenes of my past life's tragic death was chilling. The bus arrived at the stop, and I got off with Anna. Ahead was a big building, the Harris family's corporate office, where the reunion was happening. Ethan had invited several media outlets to publicize the event, boosting the Harris family's image. "Mia, is that the building?" "It's huge. You've had a rough few years. You won't have to struggle once you go back," Anna said with teary eyes, forcing a bittersweet smile. I knew she didn't want to let me go. In my past life, after returning to my real parents, she cried the entire way home. I asked, "Mom, did you bring my photo album? Can you give it to me?" "I got it," Anna replied, handing me an old album from her bag. I took the album and flipped through the pages. It was packed with photos of me from childhood. Sophie had her own album too, documenting her journey from a little princess to a high-powered heiress. In my past life, on the day I reunited with my real parents, we cried together. Sophie quietly left, going home early and locking herself in her room. She took a whole bottle of sleeping pills. When Ethan and I returned to the Harris mansion happily, the housekeeper, Sue, rushed over in a panic, saying something was wrong. Miss Sophie took pills in her room. The happy family reunion vanished. Ethan hurried Sophie to the hospital to save her. My parents anxiously waited outside the operating room. When the doctor came out, he shook his head. "Sorry, we did all we could. Prepare for the worst." Laura nearly fainted, and Ethan supported her. Sophie's final words were slipped into her album. "Mom, Dad, brother, thank you for letting me feel endless love. Now, I'll give it all back to Mia. Goodbye. If there's a next life, I hope to be your real daughter." As my parents looked through Sophie's album, they burst into tears. She was their precious gem. They wondered what pain she endured to silently take her life. Jake hurried back from abroad. That night, he sat in Sophie's room all night, full of guilt. "Sophie, I'm late. I didn't protect you. Why didn't you wait for me? If you want to die, I'll go with you, but first, the one who caused your death has to pay." My parents and brother blamed me for Sophie's death. They believed I was the reason. They regretted reuniting with me. At Sophie's funeral, they cursed me, telling me to leave the Harris family and never be seen again. After the funeral, I wandered the streets aimlessly. Jake drove his sports car at me, hitting me hard. Bringing my mind back, I held Anna's hand, walking towards the Harris family's office building. The media was already gathered, waiting for my arrival, and my parents eagerly awaited my appearance. Jake was still abroad, not yet back. As Anna and I appeared at the Harris Group entrance, the employees made way for us. Reporters swarmed forward. Ethan and Laura approached us with tears in their eyes. Laura opened her arms. "Mia, we finally found you, my darling." There were no tears and hugs like in the past life. I purposely avoided her. They were stunned, and Ethan tried to ease things. "Mia, you've been through so much these years. Come back home with us and we'll make it up to you twice over." In the crowd, I spotted Sophie wearing Chanel, her eyes full of disdain as she looked at me. I shifted my gaze and cleared my throat, telling my parents, "I came to this recognition ceremony to let you know I won't be going back to the Harris family." Then I took Anna's hand and said to my real parents, "My adoptive mom raised me with great hardship, and I want to repay her by being there for her." Ethan and Laura's expressions changed, clearly not expecting me to say that. Ethan said, "Mia, don't act out. Your adoptive mom did so much to raise you, and we'll compensate her with $1 million." The company employees started buzzing. Does she even know how much the Harris Group is worth? Going back with the CEO and his wife means endless money. Only a fool would refuse that. Her adoptive mom looks like a country bumpkin. She couldn't earn as much as a handbag from the CEO's wife in a lifetime. A reporter remarked, "Mia, your parents rank among the top 3 richest in the area. They even prepared a luxury car and house as compensation for you. Don't be foolish." I calmly replied, "I'm an adult with the right to choose my life. I choose to live with my adoptive mom." I handed the photo album to Laura, saying, "You missed out on my growth. This album will show you how I grew up. It's a gift from me. Goodbye." With that, Iwarhat, I held Anna's hand, pushed through the crowd, and walked out of the Harris Group. Behind me, Sophie's mocking voice sneered, "Who's she pretending to be? Deep down, she wishes she could come back. It's so lame to play hard to get." Laura frowned. "Sophie, don't talk about Mia like that. It's our Harris family that owes her all these years." Ethan dismissed the media and employees. He walked over and gave Sophie a look. "Sophie, watch your words in public. Have you seen any real heiress who talks like that?" Sophie pouted. "Got it, Dad and Mom." She then shifted her tone, hesitantly suggesting, "Since she doesn't want to come back, maybe just let it be. Shouldn't the love of raising someone be greater than just giving birth?" In her heart, her adoptive mom is her true mom. Just like me, even if my real parents came looking for me, you two would still be my only parents. Laura's heart felt sour, her voice tinged with bitterness. "It's not the same. We cherished you from the start, but Mia's adoptive mom is so poor. Mia probably went through a lot with her." She opened the photo album. The first picture was of me at 5, wearing old clothes and helping my adoptive mom with corn. Ethan's eyes also fell on the photo, both their noses stinging with emotion. This photo brought back the memory of when I was taken. When I was born, my parents were just starting their business, and life wasn't particularly wealthy. One weekend when I was 3, they took me and my brother Jake to the amusement park. Jake wanted to ride the Ferris wheel, but I was too young for it. Mom was supposed to stay with me, but Jake insisted. I want both Mom and Dad to join me on the Ferris wheel. Daddy on my left, Mom on my right. They initially refused, saying I was too little and needed supervision, but they caved in when Jake threw a tantrum and finally agreed. They left me at a small shop near the Ferris wheel, telling me not to wander off, promising they'd be back soon. The shop was busy, the clerk overwhelmed, lacking the time to watch over me. Jake laughed joyfully on the Ferris wheel. Dad sat on his left, Mom on his right. All 3 watched as a stranger abducted me, vanishing into the crowd. They were frantic but helpless. By the time they got off the Ferris wheel, I was gone. Mom and Dad flipped it through the album, tears slipping from their eyes. It documented my childhood in the muck, reminding them of Sophie, a dirty-faced orphan too. After adopting Sophie, they showered her with everything, trying to compensate through her. They spoiled her, making her overbearing and entitled. Every photo seemed to emphasize the life swap between me and Sophie. I should have been the one cherished, yet I fought for survival in hardship. Sophie pouted, sensing the album would only draw sympathy for me, putting her at a disadvantage. She snatched the album, closing it. Why look at her photos? She's rejected you. Isn't it just upsetting yourselves? I'll burn it for you. Hold on, Laura grabbed Sophie's arm, trying to retrieve the album. Sophie, give it back. Sophie resisted. Mom, why are you doing this to yourself? I'll burn it. It's for your own good. I don't want you and Dad upset. Laura struggled to get the album, fell over, looking quite pathetic. Ethan helped Laura up, his anger palpable, slapping Sophie thunderously enough. Sophie cradled her cheek, tears on the brink of falling. Dad, weren't you always the one who doted on me the most? Ethan's face darkened. Sophie, can't you be sensible for once? Your mom and I have enough to deal with, and you're just causing more trouble. Me, not sensible? Sophie laughed through her tears, saying defiantly, Fine, fine. It's my fault. Maybe I don't belong here anymore. Wiping her tears, she turned to leave, tossing behind her. All right, I won't bother you anymore. I'm gone. Laura watched Sophie leave, guilt-ridden. Ethan, wasn't that slap too harsh? We've never hit her before. She's our little princess. What if she can't take it? Ethan looked at his hand and sighed. I was pretty mad earlier and I did hit too hard. He thought for a moment and added, Why don't you call our son and have him cheer up Sophie? Okay, I'll call him right now, Laura replied, pulling out her phone to call Jake. It was just a couple of days after Anna and I got home when Ethan and Laura showed up with a bunch of gifts for me. I had worked some part-time jobs during college and managed to save up. Last year, I renovated the house in the countryside. Things are better now, but to Ethan and Laura, life still seems hard here. Anna asked them to sit down. They tried to bond with me and asked how I was doing. After I graduated from college, I started working as a tech specialist at a biotech company. That's what I studied in college. Ethan got excited. Mia, our family is in the skincare and cosmetics business. Your skills are exactly what our company needs. Why don't you come work for us? I didn't say anything, so Ethan added, We'll pay you triple your current salary. Laura tried to appeal emotionally. Mia, the competition is tough these days, and we're facing some challenges in product development. Can you come back and help us out? I stood up to see them off. I'll think about it. If there's nothing else, you can head back now. Before leaving, Ethan and Laura looked at me eagerly. Mia, give us a call once you've decided. We're hoping to reunite as a family. I replied calmly, It seems like your adopted daughter isn't too thrilled about me returning. Working with the company is one thing, but moving in with you guys? That's not happening. Ethan assured, Don't worry, we'll talk to Sophie. She won't be giving you any attitude. Laura added, You're our daughter. She doesn't get to decide that. I'll call you once I decide. I waved as they drove off. Anna said she'd support whatever decision I made. I took about 2 weeks to think it over. During that time, Ethan and Laura called a few times to check in. I heard Jake came back from abroad. Last time, after Sophie got slapped, she went out clubbing and got really drunk. Jake carried her back home as soon as he got off the plane. She cried on his shoulder all night, which really broke his heart. The next day, after she sobered up, Jake took her out on a shopping spree, dropping a few $100,000 just to make her happy again. She even asked Jake if Mia really comes back to the Harris family, and she bullies me. Will you take my side or hers? Jake patted her head lovingly. Sophie, of course I'll take your side. We grew up together. She can't replace you. That made Sophie happy, and she held on to Jake's hand, saying, You're the best, brother. Jake does have a girlfriend. She's still abroad, a wealthy heiress. I eventually told Ethan and Laura over the phone that I'd work at their company. At the reunion ceremony, I had said I wouldn't return as a kind of strategy. Of course I planned to go back. How else could I get my revenge? The memory of Jake hitting me with his car wouldn't leave me alone. My tragedies are all tied to him, and there's no way I'm letting him off easily. The next day, Ethan and Laura came to pick me up. Since I didn't want to move back to the Harris family, they set me up with a place near the company. I started in the department, working my way up from a technical position on weekends. They invited me to have dinner at the Harris house. The housekeeper made a fantastic spread. Jake and Sophie were there too. It was our first family meal. Jake was distant, as was Sophie. Neither of them welcomed me back. When I was kidnapped as a child, my parents blamed him, saying if he hadn't insisted on going on the Ferris wheel with them, I wouldn't have been taken. He got punished a lot over the years because of that, and he resents me for it. For him, Sophie was his angel. After getting scolded, she'd always sweeten the blow with candy, saying, "Don't be sad, big brother, you've got me." Sophie was his only solace, and I was the devil dragging him down. At dinner, Ethan noticed the awkward vibe and asked casually, "Mia, you still don't have a boyfriend, right? Want us to find someone for you?" Before I could refuse, Laura continued, "I think the second son of the Green family would be a good match. We're considering a marriage alliance with them." Before she could finish, Sophie interrupted. "Mom, didn't you tell me to get to know Jack? Do you and Dad want to give Mia a chance with the Green family?" Laura forced a smile. "When I was having tea with Mrs. Green yesterday, she mentioned that Jack isn't interested. A marriage might not happen, so I thought Mia could give it a try." Sophie wasn't pleased and retorted, "Mrs. Green isn't reliable. Jack and I get along fine. He even invited me to a concert." Ethan tried to smooth things over. "All right then, you keep getting to know Jack." Sophie calmed down, confidently saying, "Don't worry, Mom and Dad. I'll make sure the Green family's son is interested in me." Jake put his chopsticks down, looking even colder, stood up and said, "I'm full. Going back to my room." Sophie quickly finished her food and said, "Mom, Dad, I think Jake isn't feeling well. I'll go check on him." After dinner, Laura gave me a tour of the villa and offered me a room, in case I decided to move back. The villa was huge, and it would take a while to see everything. I told her to rest while I took my time exploring. As I walked up to the second floor, I overheard a conversation between Jake and Sophie in one of the rooms. "Sophie, Jack's a player. He doesn't deserve you." "I'm gonna get married someday, right? You've got a girlfriend too. I don't like her, but you haven't broken up with her." Jake paused and then said, "She's pregnant. I can't break up with her right now." "Sophie, you don't have to get married. I can take care of you forever." "Pregnant? Wow, Jake, you've done it now?" "Yep, I should spend some time with the second son of the Green family. Maybe we'll fall in love over time." "You wouldn't dare." "Oh, I would." After that day, I threw myself into work. Sophie worked at the company too, as a quality control manager. We had to interact at work, and she often tried to sabotage me, but I managed to counter her moves. I found out that the Harris and Green families had a complicated history. The Green family was originally the supplier for the Harris family when they first started their business. They even invested in Harris Group during tough times to help them out. But as the Harris family's business grew, they kicked Green out of the board and switched suppliers. Talk about burning bridges. Recently, the Harris family hit a business slump, while the Green family patented a new technology, drawing brand partners to collaborate with them. The Harris wanted to win back the Green family, so they came up with the idea of a family alliance through marriage. This move was outright puzzling. Would the Green family really be willing to work with the Harrises again? Either they're magnanimous, focusing on profit over past grudges, or they've got other motives. One weekend night, Sophie posted on social media, "Listening to a concert with someone I like." The photos showed a singer's concert and a picture of intertwined fingers. Looks like she went to the concert with Jack. The next morning, I ran into Sophie in the elevator. She flipped her hair back to reveal a hickey on her neck and glanced at me, saying defiantly, "The second son of the Green family is mine. Don't even think about taking the marriage opportunity from me." Seems like she not only went to the concert with Jack, but also spent the night together. I replied calmly, "Congrats in advance, future Mrs. Green." She taunted, "Don't pretend to be magnanimous. You're probably jealous of me already, aren't you? You're back at the company, but don't think you can outshine me in our parents' and brothers' eyes. An ugly duckling remains an ugly duckling. Don't dream of turning into a swan." Sophie wore a long white dress that day, with diamond earrings making her look like a sophisticated swan. I was in a black business suit, sharp and crisp. I saw our reflections in the elevator mirror, one black and one white. I didn't think I was any less than her. As the elevator reached the ground floor and the doors opened, Jack walked in, dressed in a black tailored suit. Our department invited the Green Group's second son to discuss a new product development. He brought the latest raw materials to explain them to us for potential collaboration. Jack stepped into the elevator, his gaze fixed on me. Sophie, feeling jealous, tugged his hand. Jack, let's have lunch together. We're at work. Keep it professional, Jack said, avoiding Sophie, his tone a bit cold. We'll see. Sophie looked annoyed. She could see Jack frequently glancing at me in the elevator mirror. I greeted him politely. Good morning, Mr. President. Jack extended his hand. Hi, I know your name is Mia. Seeing us shake hands, Sophie was instantly furious. She just called me an ugly duckling, but now she was the one being ignored. She thought I wanted to take Jack from her, but she was wrong. I only had work on my mind. Jack was just a supplier I deal with professionally. After the morning meeting, I headed to a nearby mall restaurant for lunch, only to bump into Jack. He pointed to the seat beside me and asked, Mia, mind if I join you? The restaurant was packed at lunchtime, and I looked around to see no empty tables. Thinking of the ongoing work relationship, I nodded. Sure. Jack sat next to me and started to order from the menu. When the food came, he took off his black suit, revealing a white shirt underneath. Midway through our meal, Sophie showed up, furious and unconcerned that others were around. Mia, have some self-respect, will you? Can't wait to take my man. Jack frowned. Sophie, don't make a scene. We're just sharing a table, huh? Sophie chuckled coldly. Sharing a table today, sharing a bed tomorrow. I responded icily. Sophie, maybe you should get your facts straight before you speak. I responded icily. Sophie, maybe you should get your facts straight before you speak. I'll put you in your place so you know who Jack's real girlfriend is. Sophie said, picking up her cup of tea. I won't put up with you. Don't mess with me again. I dropped those words and went to the counter to pay before heading out. Sophie stood behind me, looking like a clown, gnashing her teeth. That evening, after everyone in my department had left, I was still working overtime. Sophie came into my office with Jake. She complained to him, Bro, Mia poured hot coffee all over me at lunch, ruining my custom white dress. She's just getting out of hand. Jake walked up to me, looking fierce. Mia apologized to Sophie. I frowned. She poured on me first. She should be the one apologizing. You were flirting with her boyfriend. She was right to teach you a lesson. But throwing coffee back? That was not okay. Jake ordered coldly, apologize and don't make me ask a third time. Even if you ask 100 times, I won't apologize. I replied and picked up my phone, sending a voice message to Ethan. Dad, come to my office. Seeing this, Jake grabbed my phone and tossed it into the trash can. He harped, I just saw Dad leave the company. You think you can use him against me? No way. I stayed calm. I'm not apologizing. What are you gonna do, bully me? Jake gave Sophie a look. Sophie, go make a cup of hot coffee. All right, do her what she did to you. Your brother's got your back. Thanks, bro, Sophie said as she turned to the break room to make coffee. Jake sat in my chair, watching me with cold contempt. You shouldn't have come back. You're nothing but trouble. I shot back. It was your fault I got taken by traffickers. Don't you feel any guilt? Why should I feel guilty? Mom and Dad have yelled at me for this for years, he said, seething. I wished you died out there and never came back. Shame your luck was too good. While other kids taken by traffickers suffer, you ended up just fine. His hatred grew with every word. Whenever I saw kids begging on the streets missing limbs, I wished one was you. I shook with anger. Jake, you're disgusting! Jake snorted. You chose to come back, so don't blame me for showing no mercy. I'll show you what hell really is. I looked at his demonic face, slowly calming down internally. I whispered to myself, Jake, I've already been through hell. This time you can have a turn. While we talked, Sophie made the coffee and came over, ready to throw it at me. Just then, Ethan's angry voice boomed from outside. Stop! Sophie got startled, spilled the coffee, and dropped the cup. The steaming coffee scalded her, making her stumble and fall. Her hand landed on sharp fragments, slicing it open. Jake rushed to help her, only to be pulled back by Ethan. You ungrateful son! Is this how you treat your sister? Ethan scolded and slapped Jake hard, making him stagger back and step on Sophie's hand. They ended up in a heap, utterly embarrassed. Blood dripped from Sophie's hand, and she winced in pain. Jake helped Sophie up, furious. "Dad, why hit me without hearing anything? We just invited Mia to dinner." "What a lie." I pointed to my phone in the trash and asked, "Does inviting me to dinner mean breaking my phone? Does it mean making hot coffee to throw on me?" I pulled out my spare phone and showed Ethan the recording I had made. "Dad, listen to what Jake said earlier." Jake's face turned pale. "You recorded it?" I smirked. Typical of Sophie to act out. Holding back all afternoon had been a surprise. I suspected she'd bring Jake to confront me, so I worked late to wait for them. When they entered, I had hit record. Ethan listened to Jake's arrogant words. His anger grew with each sentence, and by the end, he was almost trembling. Who could be so hateful as to say, "I've seen kids missing limbs begging on the streets. I hoped one was you"? Ethan finished listening, pointing at Jake. "I've raised a son who despises his sister this much. I can't have such a vile child." He handed me my phone back, called the company's CFO, and gave an order. "Freeze all of Jake's accounts." "Dad, Jake," Ethan tried to plead. Logan cut him off. "No discussion. When you realize your mistakes and sincerely apologize to Mia, I'll consider lifting the freeze." Jake glanced at me with an icy glare that chilled me. I vividly recalled the time he hit me with his car in my past life. I'm sure he's capable of anything when angry. But having died once, I'm not afraid anymore. This time, I'll get him before he gets me. With Jake's accounts frozen, he quieted down for a bit. Sophie busied herself chasing after Jack. I dove into work, often staying late. If I'm getting paid triple, I'll put in the effort. Ethan and Laura discussed giving me 10% of the company's shares as compensation for the years I suffered. I took time to review the company's financial reports. Harris Group's revenue looked high, but they hadn't turned a profit in 3 years. They were just scraping by. If this keeps up, it won't be long before it all falls apart. Owning shares is useless, I suggested. If you really want to make it up to me, then convert the shares into cash. After some discussion, Ethan and Laura agreed to my suggestion. They converted 10% of the company's shares into cash and transferred it to my account. I instantly became quite wealthy. That day, I worked overtime until 11 p.m. As I was leaving, the elevator stopped on the 6th floor. The 6th floor is where Ethan's office is. He's getting older and can't handle late nights. Even if he works overtime, it's never past 8 p.m. By now, it was already 11 p.m., so logically, his office should be empty. Out of curiosity, I pressed the button to head to the 6th floor. The door to Ethan's office was slightly open, and the lights were on. I quietly stepped over, just about to push the door open. Suddenly, the lights went off, and someone pulled the door open from the inside. Sophie saw me and was startled, hiding the document she was holding behind her. I asked, "You don't usually work late. What are you doing in Dad's office so late?" She quickly regained her composure. "Dad asked me to get a document." "Is there a problem? It's this late. Dad should be asleep by now, right?" I eyed the document she was hiding. "What document do you have there?" "Let me see. None of your business." Sophie retorted as she attempted to fold the document and stuff it into her bag. Before she could fold it, I got a quick glance. It was a formula sheet. All public formula sheets have backups in the department. The one from Ethan's office could be dangerous for Sophie to possess alone. "Are you planning to give this formula to someone?" "Jack, maybe," I said, reaching for the document. Sophie pushed me away. "Get lost. I suggest you mind your own business." She quickly stepped into the elevator, and before I could catch up, she closed the elevator doors. Watching Sophie leave, I thought, the Harris family has a problem. If I'm not mistaken, Jack is urging Sophie to steal the formula. Sophie, to win Jack back, is taking this risky step. To her, Jack is a big deal. After all, the Harrises aren't her blood relatives, so she's trying to prepare a backup plan for herself. I took out my phone to call Ethan. All I got was a busy tone. "The number you're trying to reach is busy. Please try again later. Ethan should be asleep at this hour." Who could be calling him? It must be Sophie. She planned to play the victim card first. I decided to go to the security office to get the surveillance footage first. Arriving, I saw Sophie exiting the room. She was on the phone, and upon seeing me, she flashed a knowing smile. Dad, I went to the office to pick something up and saw Mia leaving from your office. She stole a document and deleted the surveillance footage. So that's why she stays late. She must have some ulterior motives. Not only did she falsely accuse me, but she also tampered with the surveillance. She was quite thorough. I wonder if she wore gloves while stealing the document. Without them, fingerprints would leave her in a bind. She may have overlooked an important detail, the unforeseen consequences of using that document after me. Sophie hung up, walked past me smugly. Mia, you better watch out. With that, she strutted away. A minute later, Ethan called me. Mia, I heard you took a document from my office. Just tell me if you need something. Did you take it? I replied. It's a formula sheet, but I didn't take it. Sophie did. She's already left. You should have security stop her. What, a formula sheet? I'll have security stop her right away. That sheet can't get out. Ethan quickly hung up as I was about to leave the security room. An idea hit me. Since Sophie thought to delete the sixth-floor security footage, she probably expected me to blow the situation up and have security stop her. The formula sheet was still in her bag. Walking out with it would be suspicious. Chances are, she already took a photo and sent it to Jack as a backup. Her next move might be to place it on my desk to frame me. With this in mind, I rushed to the security room and found footage of her in my office. Assuming she'd returned to delete this footage too, I recorded it on my phone. After finishing up, I hid in the stairwell. A few minutes later, Sophie came back to erase the footage in my office. Once she finished, she stepped out and from a blind spot, I recorded her call to Jack. Jack, did you get the document I sent? Remember your promise to marry me? So that was their deal. I captured it all on camera. Ethan and Jake had arrived at the office. Security detained Sophie, but they couldn't find the formula sheet on her. Sophie suggested, Dad, instead of searching me, why not search Mia instead? Oh, she's probably smart enough not to carry it. Check her desk. Jake eagerly volunteered. Dad, I'll check. Jake found the formula sheet at my desk and threw it at my face. Mia, you ungrateful person. After all Dad and Mom did for you, this is how you repay them. I closed my eyes as the paper dropped to the floor. This time, Ethan watched Jake bully me without helping. He didn't know who to trust, only the evidence in front of him. Sophie chimed in. I always wondered why she wanted cash instead of shares. Turns out she was trying to bring down the Harris family. What a traitor. Jake chimed in. Dad, you gave her so much cash last time. Enough for a lifetime. Freeze her card right away. I told Ethan, Dad, call the cops. They won't miss a single clue. Oh, right, there should be fingerprints in your office. Let the cops collect them. Sophie looked visibly nervous. She probably didn't expect me to catch her, so she didn't wear gloves. Ethan wanted to call the police, but Sophie stopped him. Dad, don't air our dirty laundry. Freeze Mia's card first and settle it with her. If you go to the cops, it'll just tarnish our family's name. Ethan hesitated, then asked me, Mia, tell the truth. Did you do it? Sirens blared. I smirked. I already called the cops. They'll figure out if I did it or not. Sophie clenched her fist, hating me to the core. When the police arrived, they collected fingerprints. I handed over the surveillance footage and the video of Sophie calling Jack as evidence to the police. This evidence was enough to nail Sophie. She knelt and confessed to Ethan and Laura. Mom, Dad, I messed up. Forgive me for old time's sake. I won't dare again. Ethan and Laura finally saw through her. We raised you, fed you well, and you stabbed us in the back. We're so disappointed. As Sophie was about to be taken away by the cops, Jake pleaded with his parents, Mom, Dad, let's settle this privately. If Sophie gets arrested, our company's reputation will suffer. Ethan looked at me, asking for my opinion. Mia, what do you think? I suggested, how about reclaiming the 10% shares you plan to give Sophie to settle this and call it her punishment? When my parents discussed shares with me, I learned that 49% of Harris Group's shares belonged to other board members. Ethan and Laura held 51%, planning to give me 10%, Sophie 10%, and Jake 15%, keeping 16% for themselves. Though the shares weren't officially distributed yet, They were drafting the agreement. Even though the company was incurring losses, Sophie's shares were still valuable. Sophie's face turned livid, and she shouted, "Mia, have you no shame?" Ethan said, "Let's do that. I'll call the lawyer tomorrow to redistribute the shares." Sophie nearly fainted from anger. Jake supported her as their parents discussed retracting the police report, deciding to handle it privately. Jake looked at me coldly. "Mia, are you officially declaring war?" I sneered. "Hasn't the war already begun?" Fine. You'll see," Jake said through gritted teeth. The next day, Harris Group's formula was leaked, causing a huge stir. For years, Harris's claimed their flagship products were all natural, free of alcohol and fluorescents. The leak destroyed Harris's reputation, leading to fines for false advertising. Ethan realized Green Group's marriage proposal was a ploy to take down Harris. Relations between Harris and the Greens were irreparably severed. The scandal hit Harris hard. Furious, Ethan kicked Sophie out. She was removed from the Harris family register, losing her wealth overnight. And then Sophie found out she was pregnant. The child's father was Jack, and she demanded he marry her. Jack never intended to marry her, especially not now that she was ousted from the Harrises and no longer a rich heiress. They met at a cafe. I was there too, unseen, in a booth. Sophie pleaded, "Jack, you promised you'd marry me if I got you the documents. How can you go back on that?" "Mia, you're so naive," Jack chuckled. "I only used you. You thought I'd marry you." Sophie placed a pregnancy report before him. "I'm pregnant with your baby. Regardless, you should take responsibility." Jack ripped up the report in her face. "Your lifestyle's a mess. Who knows if it's my kid?" Sophie was furious. "Jack, are you even human? If you deny the child, I'll give birth and DNA test him." Jack scoffed. "What's the point? Even if it's mine, I won't marry you. You never were good enough, and you're even less so now. You jerk." Sophie picked up Jack's half-finished coffee to throw it on him. Jack grabbed her wrist. "Don't make me hit a woman." Unable to move, Jack took the coffee and drank it in one go. "Fine, I'll have the kid then," Sophie retorted, leaving in a huff. Jack glanced over at my booth. "Mia, come on out." He'd spotted me. I just sat there while he walked over to my booth. Jack asked me, seeing Sophie end up like this, "Are you happy?" I nodded, oft. Of course, Jack sat down lazily looking at me. She was so annoying. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have messed with her in the first place. Sophie deserved it, and Jack's a piece of work too. They're a match made in hell. I stood up, ready to leave. He stopped me. "I don't want her to have that kid. You know her well enough. How can we make her abort without much hassle?" I threw back. "That's not something you should be asking me. But if Jake knows she's using her pregnancy to force marriage, he'd probably convince her to get rid of it." After I left, Jack contacted Jake. He sent him a message. "Sophie's pregnant. I'm not marrying her. You better convince her to get rid of it before she embarrasses herself." The next day, Jake parked in front of the Green Corporation building. When Jack showed up, Jake rushed over and punched him in the face. Jack and Jake got into it, and security had to break them apart. When Jack got back to his office, he sent me a picture of his bruised face. "This was your bright idea. I lost a tooth." I got the message and chuckled to myself. Two jerks fighting. It's exactly what I was hoping for. I replied, "Getting beat up, but getting rid of Sophie as a problem, isn't that worth it?" Jack replied, "I'm holding Jake accountable. Someday he'll pay for this." As I predicted, after Jake beat up Jack, he took Sophie to the hospital. He persuaded her, "Sophie, get rid of that kid. Jack isn't worth it." At first, Sophie refused bitterly, saying, "But this kid is my only bargaining chip. Now I've been kicked out by my parents. What will I do if I don't marry Jack?" Jake held Sophie's hand and promised, "Sophie, you don't need any man's support but mine. I can take care of you forever." Holding on to Jake like a lifeline, Sophie nodded. "Okay, I trust you. I'll depend on you, don't let me down." After the procedure, Jake rented a place for Sophie to stay. Sue, the Harris family maid, spoke to Jake. "Sir, Sophie is used to my soup. Now it's important to nourish her back to health. How about I make soup every day and deliver it to her? Jake nodded. That would be great. Thank you. Jake's girlfriend, Lily, returned. She's expecting, and they're talking about marriage. When Sophie found out, she pressured Jake. Weren't you going to take care of me forever? If you marry Lily, how can you? Jake said, I'll handle your living needs, but I can't avoid marriage forever. My name isn't on the Harris family register anymore. Why can't we? Sophie took Jake's hand, looking him in the eyes. I know your feelings for me go beyond that of siblings. Jake pulled Sophie into a hug, conflicted. They weren't related, and now Sophie had been cut off from the Harris family. But Ethan and Laura wouldn't approve. He stroked her hair and said, Let me think about it. Jake thought about it for days without reaching a conclusion, while rumors started about his engagement to Lily. He visited Sophie less and less, often telling her he was busy when she called. His actions clearly showed he was avoiding the issue. Sophie bit her lips until they bled and hatched a plan. She'd used the threat of suicide to force Jake into making a decision. She ordered fake sleeping pills online. When Sue delivered her soup, she also brought in Sophie's package and unwrapped it for her. Seeing the pills, Sue asked cautiously, Miss, are you having trouble sleeping? Sleeping pills shouldn't be taken carelessly. I know, Sophie said, mentally preparing her plan. She instructed Sue, Sue, don't bring soup tomorrow, Okay, Sue nodded. Sophie casually asked, How's your son doing? Is he better? Sue smiled. He's all better now. He's getting married soon. You'll have to come for the sweets. Yeah, Sophie nodded, not noticing the sadness in Sue's eyes as she turned away. That night, Sophie swallowed an entire bottle of sleeping pills. They were fake, so the entire bottle equaled only about 3 real pills. She didn't hesitate as she swallowed them. After taking the pills, she texted Jake. This will be my last time calling you, brother. Hopefully, in another life, we'll meet differently. Then she fell asleep. She thought when she woke up, Jake would give in. In her past life, she thought the same way. She downed a bottle of fake pills, hoping her parents' love would shift back to her. Sadly, it all went wrong. Sue had swapped that fake bottle for real sleeping pills. That's how it was then and how it is now. Sue had worked as a maid for the Harrises for about 10 years. 2 years ago, her son was gravely ill and needed surgery. She was short on money, desperate. She asked Laura for a loan. Laura was going to lend it, but Sophie stopped her. Sophie said, The Harris family isn't a charity. What if she takes the money and runs? Anyway, she won't be able to repay it in her lifetime on her salary. Don't lend it. Sue couldn't get the money she needed, so her son's surgery got delayed. She's had a tough life, and just when her son was about to get married, he passed away. She kept the secret inside and planned revenge against Sophie. When Sophie tried to commit suicide with fake sleeping pills, Sue swapped them for real ones, ending Sophie's life. Jake rushed to the apartment and took Sophie to the hospital. On the way, he was full of regret, saying, Sophie, why'd you do that? I just needed some time to make up my mind. I wasn't going to abandon you. Sophie was taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. When Ethan and Laura heard the news, they just gave a dismissive, oh. They didn't visit Sophie in the hospital. Last time, Sophie had stolen a formula for Jack, causing huge losses to the Harris family. Ethan and Laura hated Sophie for that. Plus, they'd heard Sophie was trying to use her death to force Jake to break up with Lily and marry her. Ethan and Laura liked Lily as a daughter-in-law, so Sophie's actions made them despise her even more. The doctor came out of the operating room and told Jake, Sorry, we did our best. Prepare for the worst. Jake hit the wall in frustration, his eyes filled with pain. Upon hearing about Sophie's death, Ethan coldly said, She deserved it. Laura couldn't help shedding a few tears and sighed. She had it coming. We were more than kind to her. While Lily was getting a checkup, she tried to call Jake, but he didn't answer. When he finally picked up, he snapped, Can you stop bothering me? I'm drowning in problems. Mia, let's break up. I'll handle the baby myself, Lily said, hanging up. Lily made the smart choice, realizing Jake wasn't worth her future, and walked away from it. At the same time, I got a ticket to Norway. I knew once Jake figured things out, he'd come after me. In a past life, he ran me over, so I knew he could do it again. When I was packing, I called Ethan and Laura. Mom, Dad, I'm going on a trip. They said they wanted to come for a prayer visit. I advised, you're getting older. Maybe it's best not to travel. They insisted, saying the company had too many issues lately and a prayer trip might help. Plus, it'd be a nice break. I couldn't change their minds, so I booked their tickets. I was right. After a few days of sulking, Jake learned that Lily had terminated the pregnancy and totally broke up with him. He realized everything lately was because I came back. He wanted revenge. He wanted to kill me. He texted me, Mia, you leaving like that? Aren't you scared I'll go after your foster family and brother? I replied, I already moved them. If you're tough enough, come for me in front of my parents. Yep, as soon as I decided to confront Jake, I moved my foster mom. My brother is in college and it was holiday time, so I asked him to travel abroad to relax. I had to make sure Jake couldn't get to my weak spots. It'd take a while for him to find them, so he'd come straight for me. Instead of being surrounded by danger, I'd rather draw him out. He booked a ticket to find me. Being surrounded by danger, I'd rather draw him out. He booked a ticket to find me. I called Jack. You healed up? Surprised, Jack replied, Yeah, why the sudden concern? Half joking, I said, Didn't you say you'd settle the score with Jake? Now's a good time. Jack got the hint. Give me a schedule. I'll send it soon, I said with a smile and hung up. Ethan and Laura had bad altitude sickness and stayed at the hotel to get oxygen. I went up the snowy mountain with Jake tailing me. Up there, without surveillance, it was easy to kill someone. Jake emerged with a twisted grin. Mia, you shouldn't have come back. Pay for Sophie's life. I coldly responded, If she meant that much, why not join her in hell? Still talking tough before you die. Jake raised a climbing stick, swinging it at me. 2 strong men rushed in, holding him down. In disbelief, Jake looked at me. Mia, did you hire hitmen? How dare you? Whether I dare or not isn't the point, I said, glancing at the cliff. Jack's willing to, and that's enough. No sooner had I said that than the 2 men lifted Jake and tossed him off the mountain. Mia, you'll pay for this. Jake's screams faded away. I dropped 10 bundles of cash on the men, telling them, Don't worry, I wanted him dead. I won't rat on you. This was life insurance money, ensuring they wouldn't silence me. Seeing that I was reasonable, they took the money and left. Jack called me, Mia, I admire your guts. Why not marry me? I chuckled silently. Do you think you deserve that? Jack pressed, Why won't you answer? I can give you anything you want. We're not suited for each other. I can get what I want on my own, I replied, ending the call. After coming down the mountain, Jake disappeared, and a week later, his body was found. Ethan and Laura, already struggling with altitude, fainted upon hearing of Jake's death and were hospitalized. I, acting as family, went to claim his body. Seeing his frozen remains, I finally felt at ease. When asked how to handle his remains, I calmly said, In Rome, do as the Romans do. Go with the sky burial. Jake's body was cut into pieces as I watched. Snowflakes fell, covering everything. Vultures flew in to feast. I clasped my hands together and made a solemn bow to the sky. Jake, rest in peace. After Jake passed, Ethan and Laura fell seriously ill. They stayed in a local hospital for a month, so I arranged for a private flight to get them transferred back for treatment. With both Sophie and Jake gone, I'd be their only support now, the sole heir of the Harris family. I never forgave them, and now they didn't have long left. There was nothing I needed to do anymore. I took over the Harris Group, and my skills were finally put to good use. I developed several patented technologies for the company's new products, and once they hit the market, they generated massive sales. In just 3 years, I turned the company from loss to profit. I also invested in several businesses, growing my personal wealth 100-fold. In those 3 years, Ethan and Laura passed away from illness one after the other. I brought my adoptive mother to live in my newly purchased villa, repaying her for raising me. My brother continued his studies in grad school after graduating, with a bright future ahead. On the day the company I invested in went public, I didn't attend the bell-ringing ceremony. I left the public appearances to my partners. I preferred to keep a low profile as the boss behind the scenes. I went to the amusement park from my childhood. The park had been renovated, and the new Ferris wheel was much bigger than before. I booked the Ferris wheel and rode it alone. As the bell rang, the Ferris wheel started turning in the sky. Jake, see? Riding a Ferris wheel doesn't always need someone on your left and right. One person can see a broader view. You asked me if riding alone is lonely. Lonely, yes, but the strong are destined to be lonely. I enjoy solitude more than the chaos. In that moment, I made peace with the past and embarked on a bright future.